The moment I opened my eyes, a slap from an absolute ice queen nearly took my head off. She gritted her teeth, eyes rimmed with red, her voice dripping with humiliation and rage. "Caleb Thorne, you piece of garbage." I was stunned. Wasn't this Sarah Vance, the villainous CEO from that male fantasy thriller I was reading? So I've transmigrated, and I become the pathetic simp cannon fodder with the same name who stalked her and eventually got killed by the protagonist. I looked down at the mess on the floor. I understood immediately. Last night, this icy fiancé who despised me and we had a wild, reckless night. A stinging pain radiated from my cheek as my vision cleared. The first thing I saw was a face of breathtaking beauty, yet cold as frost. The woman was wrapped only in a bath towel, her long, raven-black hair messy over her shoulders, her pale skin marked with ambiguous red welts. Her eyes were bloodshot, teeth biting in her lower lip, the anger, shame, and a trace of imperceptible despair in her gaze almost tangible. "Caleb, you loser. What did you do to me?" She was trembling, raising her hand as if to slap me again. My brain buzzed as countless fragmented memories that didn't belong to me flooded in. Caleb Thorne, the only son of the third-rate Thorne family in New York, a complete and utter waste of space. And the woman before me was his fiancée, the helm of the top-tier Vance dynasty, the billionaire ice queen CEO, Sarah Vance. Wait, this setup. I jolted awake. Wasn't this Return of the Urban Dragon, the book I stayed up all night reading? In the book, the original Caleb, was a standard villainous cannon fodder. He was obsessed with Sarah, constantly pestering and harassing her because of their arranged marriage. In the original plot, tonight was the night Caleb drugged Sarah's drink, intending to force himself on her. But he was supposed to be caught in the act by the protagonist, the dragon Julian Cross, who would break his legs. Eventually, the Thorne family would go bankrupt, and Caleb would die miserably under a bridge. But me, a regular corporate drone from the 21st century, actually transmigrated into this simp fodder. I instinctively looked down. The room was a disaster zone, the air thick with the smell of alcohol and hormones. And I looked at the marks on Sarah. My heart skipped a beat. The plot seemed to have glitched. I seemed to have actually sealed the deal. Where was the hero, Julian Cross? Why didn't he show up? What are you staring at? Sarah noticed my gaze. The humiliation made her beautiful face flush crimson instantly. She grabbed a pillow and hurled it at me viciously. "Caleb, I'm going to kill you." I tilted my head, and the pillow flew past my ear. Seeing her agitation, I quickly calmed down. The situation was this. I was the cannon fodder, and I had just slept with one of the most untouchable heroines in the book. By the logic of these thrillers, Julian Cross could kick down the door at any moment, play the hero, and stomp me, the bully, into the ground. No, I couldn't die. I didn't want to die under a bridge. "Sarah, calm down," I said, my voice rasping. "What did you say to me?" Sarah froze, seemingly shocked that Caleb, who was usually submissive and cowardly in front of her, dared to speak in such a tone. I said, "Calm down." I repeated myself, threw off the covers, and got out of bed, ignoring her stunned gaze as I started to get dressed. "You..." Sarah was shaking with rage. "Caleb, you shameless bastard. You think this means you can have me? Let me tell you, impossible. I, Sarah Vance, would rather die than marry a loser like you." Her words were like knives stabbing into the original host's memories, causing a surge of unwillingness and anger to rise from my chest. But I forcibly suppressed it. I was Caleb Thorne now, but I wasn't that pathetic lapdog anymore. I methodically buttoned the last button of my shirt, turned to look at her, and curled my lip into a cold sneer. "Marry me? CEO Vance, aren't you overthinking things?" Sarah froze again, her beautiful eyes filled with disbelief. I walked up to her, looked down from my height, and, adopting the tone of those domineering CEOs in the books, spoke slowly. "First, I didn't drug you last night. You drank too much and threw yourself at me. You're lying." She screamed, her face turning pale. "Whether I'm lying or not, the hotel hallway has cameras. You can check them yourself." I lied without blinking. Since I just got here, checking surveillance was the best stalling tactic. Then, I held up a second finger. "Second, I have no interest in you. You look okay, but you're too cold. Like a block of ice, sleeping with you is uncomfortable. You possessive jerk." Sarah's tears finally couldn't be held back, rolling down her cheeks. When had she ever suffered such humiliation? I didn't stop. I held up a third finger, my tone turning even colder. "Third, and most importantly, from today on, the engagement between us is void." I paused, looking at her stunned face, and said word by word, "It is I who am dumping you." With that, I stopped looking at her and turned to leave. At the door, I paused and tossed a sentence over my shoulder without looking back. By the way, as compensation, I paid for the room. You're welcome. The door slammed shut. In the room, Sarah Vance sat dazed on the bed, as if her entire world had collapsed. Caleb dumped her. That simp who chased her for 3 years, humble as dust, actually dumped her? I walked out of the presidential suite and let out a long breath. My back was soaked with cold sweat. That speech just now had used up almost all my acting skills and courage. Facing a billionaire Ice Queen CEO with an imposing aura and saying such humiliating things required an insane amount of psychological pressure. But I had to do it. According to the book's plot, at this timeline, the protagonist Julian Cross had returned from the overseas battlefields and was looking for the 7 guardians who possess special tokens. Sarah Vance was one of them. Although Julian had no romantic feelings for Sarah yet, there was a bond of duty. If he found out I bullied her, he would absolutely cripple me immediately. My only way to survive was to completely cut ties with Sarah, make her actively want to cancel the engagement, or even hate me, so I could escape the identity of the simp cannon fodder and get away from the main plotline. As for what really happened last night, I had no memory of the original host using drugs, but rather fragmented images of Sarah being the active one. Maybe there was some hidden context I didn't know. Forget it. No time to think. The priority was to run. I patted my pockets. The original host had nothing but a phone and a credit card with a measly $5,000 limit. What a loser. I walked to the hotel front desk, ready to settle the bill with that card, when a middle-aged man in a suit, looking like the general manager, walked over briskly. Is this Mr. Caleb Thorne? He asked respectfully. I nodded. Mr. Thorne, your bill has already been settled. The manager smiled broadly. Additionally, our owner would like to meet you. Would that be convenient? The owner? I frowned. The owner of this 7-star hotel was a mysterious big shot in the book. Someone even the hero Julian Cross had to show some respect to. Why do you want to see me? What was worth seeing about a cannon fodder like me? Lead the way. Although suspicious, I decided to go check it out. Maybe this was a turning point to escape my fate. The manager led me to a private, traditional tea room on the top floor. Pushing open the door, a faint scent of sandalwood wafted out. In the tea room, an elderly man wearing a traditional Tang suit, hair gray but eyes spirited, was leisurely brewing tea. Seeing me, a glint of sharp light flashed in his cloudy but keen eyes. Young friend Caleb, please sit. I sat opposite him and got straight to the point. Sir, you were looking for me. What is it? The old man didn't answer directly, but pushed a cup of brewed tea toward me. Taste it. This year's pre-rain dragon well tea. I picked up the cup and took a sip. Slightly bitter at first, then sweet. Indeed, good tea. Good tea, I complimented. The old man smiled, looking at me with burning intensity. Young friend, I heard everything you said to the Vance girl in the room last night. My heart sank. Was there a wiretap in the room? No need to be nervous. The old man seemed to read my mind. That suite is my private suite. Security measures are normal. I have no interest in the affairs of you young people. Only. He changed the subject, his tone becoming serious. You dumped the Vance girl. Have you thought about the consequences? I put down the teacup and looked him in the eye. Consequences? What consequences? The Vance family cancels the engagement. I regain my freedom. Isn't that the best of both worlds? The old man shook his head. You are too naive. You made Sarah Vance lose so much face publicly. With her personality, she won't let you off. Moreover, the people behind the Vance family won't let you escape so easily. My heart skipped a beat. I pressed. People behind her? You mean? Related to that? To Julian Cross. I regretted it as soon as I said it. I should know the name Julian Cross. Sure enough, the old man's gaze sharpened, scrutinizing me. How would he know Julian Cross? My brain spun rapidly, and I immediately found an excuse. I heard Sarah mention him. It was a lame explanation, but it was all I had. The old man looked at me deeply, didn't pry further, and sighed. It seems you aren't completely in the dark. That's right, Sarah is the one that person has his eye on. Moving against her is equivalent to slapping that person in the face. Do you think you can walk out of this hotel today? Cold sweat broke out on my back again. Damn it, out of the frying pan and into the fire. This cannon fodder life is too hard. So what do you want, old man? I forced myself to stay calm. The old man suddenly smiled, a smile containing a hint of appreciation and amusement. I'll give you a way out. He pulled a black card from his jacket and slid it across to me. Take this card. I don't know how much money is in it, but it's enough to buy half of New York. The pin is your birthday. I stared at the pure black card engraved with a ferocious gold dragon. I froze. Wasn't this the Onyx Dragon card from the book, used by the protagonist Julian Cross to flex his wealth and slap faces? Seeing the card was like seeing the dragon himself. Why was it in this old man's hands? Who is he? Sir, what is the meaning of this? I didn't touch the card. The meaning is simple. The old man stood up, walked to my side, patted my shoulder, and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "From today on, you, Caleb Thorne, are the new dragon. And I am your most loyal servant, 9. My mind went blank, completely crashing. The new dragon. Me? Caleb? A transmigrated cannon fodder. Did I get the wrong script? 9 looked at my shocked expression and nodded with satisfaction, as if everything was within his expectations. I know you have many questions, he said slowly, but now is not the time to explain. You just need to know that from the moment you slept with Sarah, the gears of fate deviated from their original track. The original dragon, Julian Cross, due to an accident on his return journey, has fallen. What? The protagonist is dead? My heart pounded wildly. This news was even more shocking than me becoming the dragon. If the hero is dead, how does this story continue? Therefore, the organization needs a new dragon to take his place and complete his unfinished mission. 9's eyes became incredibly deep. And you, Caleb, because you appeared at the most critical location at the most critical time and formed an unbreakable bond with Sarah Vance. You became the only choice. I understood. I had usurped the nest. Not only did I sleep with the heroine, but I also stole the hero's identity. What do you call this? The cannon fodder's revenge. But I don't know anything. I spread my hands. I'm just a regular guy. I can't fight. I can't strategize. How can I be the dragon? Those things aren't important. 9 smiled slightly. The dragon doesn't need martial prowess, but status. This identity will bring you supreme power and wealth. As for martial prowess, you will possess it soon enough. He handed me an ancient wooden box. Open it. I took the box. It was heavy. Opening it, inside lay a pill the size of a longan fruit, crystal clear throughout, emitting a faint halo. This is the Dracomero elixir. It was refined by the previous dragon, Julian Cross, using countless heavenly treasures, originally intended for his own breakthrough. Now it is yours. Eat it, and you will be reborn, possessing strength beyond ordinary men. I looked at the pill and swallowed hard. This cheat code was coming a bit too directly, wasn't it? I don't have a choice, do I? I looked up at 9. 9 nodded. You can choose not to eat it. Then walk out of this hotel and face the wrath of the Vance family and that person's faction. Or eat it, become the new dragon, and make everyone who ever looked down on you crawl at your feet. Was there even a choice? I picked up the Dracomero elixir and swallowed it without hesitation. The pill melted instantly, and a majestic stream of heat exploded in my body, like countless fire dragons crashing through my limbs and bones. The severe pain almost made me pass out. I gritted my teeth, feeling every cell in my body being torn apart and reassembled. I don't know how long it took, but the searing heat gradually faded, replaced by an unprecedented sense of comfort and power. I could clearly feel the earth-shattering changes in my body. My muscles became tighter, my bones harder, and even my vision and hearing improved several times over. I clenched my fist, feeling the explosive power surging within me. This is the power of the dragon? How does it feel? 9's voice sounded in my ear. I opened my eyes, a sharp light flashing through them. Better than ever. 9 smiled with satisfaction. Good. From now on, you are the dragon. Keep this black card safe. It is the symbol of your identity. All the top clubs, banks, and auction houses in the city recognize this card. I took the heavy Onyx Dragon card, my heart filled with mixed emotions. A day ago, I was a wage slave worrying about rent. A day later, I became the dragon, holding billions in wealth and monstrous power. Life's ups and downs were truly too stimulating. Lord Dragon, what are your plans now? 9 asked respectfully. I stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the bustling city of New York. The original host's memories told me that today was the Thorne family's monthly board meeting. At every meeting, the original Caleb would be insulted and ridiculed by his so-called relatives in turn, forcing him to give up the heir's position. And today, they had united to kick Caleb's parents out of the family. The corner of my mouth hooked into a cold arc. Go home, back to the Thorne estate. Time to meet my dear family. Since I became Caleb Thorne, the debts owed to Caleb should be collected by me. Those who bullied him and looked down on him, I would make them pay back 100-fold, 1,000-fold. The Thorne estate, conference room. The atmosphere was oppressive, like the sky before a storm. The long conference table was filled with the Thorne family's collateral relatives, each wearing expressions of undisguised schadenfreude and greed. At the head of the table sat the current acting head of the Thorne family, my uncle, Marcus Thorne. He tapped the table, looking every bit the man in charge. "Brother, Martha, it's not that I, your younger brother, am heartless. You know that the family business has been declining in recent years, and it's all held together by me. Caleb, that useless waste, only causes trouble and ruins our reputation. He isn't fit to be the Thorne heir. For the future of the family, I propose revoking Caleb's heir status and having my son, Lucas, replace him. At the same time, your family should move out of this main house." Sitting across from me was a middle-aged couple. The man looked haggard, and the woman was constantly wiping away tears. They were the original host's parents, Robert and Martha Thorne. "Marcus, how can you do this?" My dad, Robert, shook with anger. "Father passed the position of family head to me. Caleb is the only direct grandson. How can you just abolish his position?" "Exactly, Uncle Marcus." A woman with heavy makeup and flashy clothes spoke in a shrill voice. She was my cousin, Tiffany Thorne. "My brother Lucas is a graduate of a top university and is already the company VP. Look at Caleb. Aside from eating, drinking, and playing around, what can he do? Letting him be the heir will bankrupt the Thorne family sooner or later." "That's right. Caleb is a loser. Kick his family out. We don't want to be dragged down by trash." A group of relatives chimed in, their words full of contempt and disdain for our family. My mom, Martha, was so angry her lips turned white. She cried, You are bullying us too much. Caleb is your nephew, after all." "Nephew?" Lucas, my high-achieving cousin, sneered and looked at me with contempt. "I don't have such a loser for a cousin. All day long chasing Sarah Vance's skirt, wagging his tail and begging. He's humiliated the Thorne family completely. I heard the Vance family is officially announcing the annulment today. By then, our family will be the laughingstock of all of New York. This is all thanks to your good son." Marcus looked at my dad triumphantly and issued an ultimatum. "Brother, stop struggling. Sign this equity transfer agreement today. You have to sign it whether you want to or not." As he spoke, he pushed a document in front of my dad. Everyone's eyes focused on my dad, waiting for him to submit. My dad clenched his fists tightly, his face ashen, but he couldn't say a word. Most of the family assets were in Uncle Marcus's hands. He was powerless to resist. Just then, I stood up. "Who says we're signing?" My voice wasn't loud, but it rang out like a thunderclap in the quiet conference room. Everyone's eyes instantly focused on me, full of surprise and confusion. In their impression, I had always been a cowardly waste who didn't dare lift his head in front of them. How did I dare to contradict Marcus publicly today? "Caleb, is it your turn to speak? Sit down." Marcus's face darkened as he scolded. I ignored him, walked straight to my parents, and picked up the equity transfer agreement. "For this little bit of shares, you people are fighting like dogs." I scoffed, and, right in front of everyone, I tore the agreement into shreds. "You." Marcus stood up abruptly, pointing at me, too angry to speak. "You what?" I met his gaze, my eyes cold as knives. "Uncle Marcus, I always thought you were just greedy. I didn't know you were stupid too. You dare insult me. Insulting you is letting you off light." I looked around, eyeing each shocked, angry, or disdainful face, and spoke slowly. "You think that without the Vance engagement, our branch is finished? You think that relying on those petty businesses in your hands, you can rule the family? A bunch of short-sighted frogs in a well." My words caused the conference room to explode. "This is mutiny. Caleb, you little animal. How dare you talk to your elders like that? Robert, this is the good son you raised. Get him out. Now. Immediately." Lucas rushed directly in front of me, pointing at my nose and cursing. "Caleb, did you take the wrong meds? Daring to act wild here? Believe it or not, I'll break your legs." He raised his hand, aiming to slap my face. My eyes turned cold. After merging with the power of the Dracomero elixir, Lucas's movements looked as slow as a snail in my eyes. I moved faster, grabbing his wrist. Crack! A crisp sound of bone fracturing rang out. "Arg!" Lucas let out a scream like a slaughtered pig. His wrist was bent 90 degrees by my grip, the jagged, white bone piercing the skin, blood dripping. Dead silence. Everyone was terrified by this bloody scene. They couldn't believe that the usually weak Caleb dared to strike, and so ruthlessly. My parents were stunned too, staring at me blankly as if they didn't know their own son. I threw aside Lucas's hand like tossing trash, letting him fall to the floor. Noisy. I pulled out a tissue, methodically wiped my hands, and threw it on Lucas's pale face. "Anyone else have an opinion on my status as heir?" My cold gaze swept over everyone present. Those I looked at subconsciously lowered their heads, afraid to meet my eyes. The ruthlessness and menacing aura that erupted in that instant made them feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. Is this really the loser, Caleb? Caleb, you dare hurt someone. I'm calling the police to arrest you. Uncle Marcus reacted first. Looking at his son wailing on the ground, he was shocked and furious, pulling out his phone to dial. Police? I laughed, incredibly sarcastically. Uncle Marcus, did you forget? This is the Thorne estate. Family matters stay in the family. Your son was insubordinate, insulting the family heir. I just administered a little discipline. Is there a problem? Marcus shook with rage, but couldn't find words to refute. The family rules were indeed so, but no one ever took them seriously, and certainly no one expected Caleb, the waste, to use them as a shield. Caleb, don't be too arrogant. Marcus roared, trying to mask his fear. You think you won just because you hurt Lucas? Let me tell you, without the Vance family support, you are nothing. I'm putting it out there today. I am taking the seat of the family head. Oh, is that so? I pulled out the chair at the head of the table, sat down boldly, and crossed my legs. Then let's wait and see. Just then, the villa's main door was pushed open from the outside. A woman in a business suit with a capable aura walked in. It was Sarah Vance's chief secretary, Vivian. Everyone's hearts jumped into their throats. Here it comes. The Vance family is here to annul the marriage. Marcus and Lucas wore triumphant smiles. They were waiting to see me get slapped in the face by the Vances. Waiting to see me become the joke of New York. Vivian walked straight up to me without looking sideways, bowed slightly, and presented an exquisite gift box. Mr. Thorne, CEO Vance asked me to deliver this to you. Everyone held their breath. The box surely contained the token of annulment, or a check, a humiliating breakup fee. Lucas was already prepared to start mocking me. Expressionless, I opened the box. Inside was not a token, nor a check. It was a red gold stamp. Wedding invitation. I froze. Everyone in the room froze. A wedding invitation? What was happening? Marcus couldn't hold back and stepped forward to ask, Secretary Vivian, what does this mean? Isn't CEO Vance going to annul the engagement with this loser? Vivian looked up, glanced at Marcus with a hint of pity in her eyes, as if looking at an idiot. Annulment? Who said anything about an annulment? She cleared her throat and announced in a clear, loud voice that everyone present could hear. By the order of the chairman of Vance Corp, Ms. Sarah Vance, I am here to notify everyone. In 3 days, Ms. Sarah Vance and Mr. Caleb Thorne will hold a grand wedding at the Gotham International Hotel. We respectfully welcome everyone to attend. With that, she bowed to me again and turned to leave, leaving the entire conference room petrified. Wedding? Invitation? Not an annulment, but a marriage? The smugness on Marcus's face froze. Lucas forgot the pain in his wrist, and Tiffany's mouth gaped wide enough to fit an egg. Every relative looked as if they had seen a ghost. How is this possible? The aloof Ice Queen CEO, Sarah Vance, who viewed Caleb as garbage, was actually going to marry him? And after that scandal last night, has the world gone mad? I looked at the invitation in my hand and fell into thought. What was this woman up to? With her personality, after suffering such humiliation, she should be tearing me to pieces, not marrying me. When things are abnormal, there must be a demon at work. There had to be a conspiracy I didn't know about. No, impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Marcus shrieked, looking deranged. It must be fake. This loser forged it. I looked up and gave him a cold stare. Forged? If you have the guts, call Sarah Vance right now and ask. Marcus choked, instantly silenced. Even with 100 times more courage, he wouldn't dare question Sarah Vance. I threw the invitation onto the table, stood up, and walked to my parents, who were still in a daze. Dad, Mom, let's go. Huh? Go. Go where, Caleb? My mom, Martha, hadn't recovered from the shock. Home, of course. I smiled. Back to our own home. I pulled them toward the door under the sluggish gazes of all the relatives. At the doorway, I stopped and looked back at Marcus, whose face was as pale as paper. Uncle Marcus, I forgot to tell you one thing. From today on, all cooperation between Thorne Enterprises and you is terminated. Within 3 days, spit out every penny you embezzled from the company. Otherwise, it won't be as simple as a broken hand. My voice was soft, yet it carried an undeniable dominance and murderous intent. Marcus's legs went weak, and he collapsed onto the floor. Back at the small townhouse where my family lived, my parents were still in a state of utter disbelief. Caleb, what is going on with you? Why did you suddenly become? My dad, Robert, looked at me, hesitating to speak, his eyes full of worry and unfamiliarity. Dad, I just figured things out. I pour them tea. I was too weak before, letting Uncle Marcus and the others walk all over us. From today on, no more. I will personally take back everything that belongs to us. But the Vance family, my mom, Martha, was still uneasy. Ms. Vance, is she really going to marry you? Is this true or false? Seeing their worried looks, my heart warmed. No matter how useless the original host was, his parents truly loved him. It's true, I reassured them. Don't worry, I have everything under control. Although I didn't know what game Sarah was playing, I had to show enough confidence in front of my parents. After sending my parents to rest, I sat alone in the courtyard and took out the Onyx Dragon card 9 gave me. The gold dragon pattern on the black card flowed under the moonlight, exuding a mysterious and powerful aura. 9 said this card could buy half of New York. I decided to test it. I hailed a cab and went to the city's top luxury mall, the Hudson Plaza. Walking into a Patek Philippe boutique, a saleswoman with heavy makeup and a revealing outfit walked up. She looked me up and down, seeing my outfit worth less than $100, and a warmth in her eyes instantly cooled, replaced by undisguised disdain. Sir, our watches are very expensive, starting at 7 figures. Are you sure you want to look? Her tone was full of superiority. I couldn't be bothered to waste words with her and pointed to the Sky Moon series watch in the center of the display case. Priced at $8 million. That one. Wrap it up. The saleswoman froze, then sneered. Sir, are you joking? Do you know how much that watch is? 1.8 million. Selling you wouldn't even buy the strap. Her loud voice immediately attracted the attention of other customers. A familiar, acidic voice rang out. Well, look who it is. The great loser Caleb. What? Got triggered by the Vance rejection. Came here to pretend you're a big shot. I looked back and laughed. Enemies really do cross paths on a narrow road. The speaker was my cousin Lucas, whose hand I had just broken. His injured arm was in a heavy cast and sling, and beside him stood my mean-faced cousin Tiffany. They must be here shopping to vent their anger. Caleb, you piece of trash, you have the face to go out? Tiffany crossed her arms, screeching mockingly. You don't actually think Sarah Vance will marry you, do you? Keep dreaming. She's doing it for revenge, planning to humiliate you publicly at the wedding. I'm waiting to see how you die. Exactly. Lucas glared at me viciously. Wait until the Van Cess destroy you. I'll see how arrogant you can be then. When that happens, I'll break your other hand too. Hearing their conversation, the surrounding customers looked at me with pity and scorn. So it's a loser play by a rich girl. Trying to buy a $1 million watch? Hilarious. The disdain on the saleswoman's face deepened. She waved her hand impatiently. Sir, if you're not buying, please leave. Don't disturb our business. I ignored these buzzing flies and pulled the Onyx Dragon card from my pocket, handing it to the saleswoman. Swipe it. Seeing the black card, the saleswoman paused, then laughed exaggeratedly as if she heard the biggest joke. Ha ha ha. What is this? A debit card? Why have I never seen it? Caleb, where did you get this fake card to scam free drinks? Lucas and Tiffany joined in the laughter. Trash is trash. Even your flex is low grade. Call the police quickly. Arrest him. Just then, a man in a suit and gold-rimmed glasses, looking like the manager, rushed over hearing the noise. What's the commotion? The saleswoman immediately sucked up to him, pointing at me to complain. Manager, this guy is using a fake card trying to buy our $1 million watch and causing trouble. The manager frowned and looked at the card in my hand. With just one glance, the color drained from his face instantly. His body began to tremble uncontrollably, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. He looked at me with unadulterated terror and awe. Thud! In front of everyone's shocked eyes, the boutique manager's legs went weak, and he felt his knees directly in front of me. Lord Dragon. This humble one failed to recognize Mount Tai. I didn't know the dragon had arrived. I deserve to die. Please forgive me, my lord. As he spoke, he kowtowed frantically, his head banging against the floor. The entire boutique went deathly silent. Everyone's smiles froze on their faces. Lucas, Tiffany, the saleswoman, and the onlookers were all dumbfounded, eyes nearly popping out of their sockets. Lord Dragon? What kind of title is that? Are we in a movie? That saleswoman, arrogant just a moment ago, now had a face devoid of blood, legs shaking like a sieve. She wasn't stupid. For the manager of Patek Philippe at the Hudson Plaza to be scared into kneeling on the spot, banging his head on the floor. How terrifying must this person's background be? And she had just mocked such a big shot as a loser who couldn't afford a watch. It was over. She felt the sky collapsing. Dragon. Lucas stammered, his eyes full of confusion and fear. What dragon? Manager, did you mistake him for someone else? He's just a waste. Hearing Lucas's words, the manager was scared out of his wits. He scrambled over to Lucas and slapped him across the face. Slap. Shut your damn mouth. You're the waste. Your whole family is waste. The manager was on the verge of tears, pointing at Lucas's nose and cursing. Who do you think you are? Daring to insult Lord Dragon? Don't drag me down if you want to die. This slap completely bewildered Lucas. It also woke up all the onlookers. They finally realized that the young man in cheap clothes before them seemed to be an unimaginably godlike existence. I looked down at the kneeling manager, my tone indifferent. Get up. Thank you, Lord Dragon. Thank you. The manager felt as if he had been granted amnesty, scrambling up from the floor, trembling, not daring to lift his head. I handed him the Onyx Dragon card. Swipe it. I'm buying the watch. No, no, no. The manager pushed the card back, a fawning smile plastered on his face. It is the shop's honor for Lord Dragon to visit. This watch is a tribute from this humble one to you. Please, you must accept it. Are you kidding? Take money from the dragon. He must have a death wish. Getting the dragon to accept the gift was itself a massive honor, enough to brag about for a lifetime. I didn't insist and took back the card. The manager immediately scurried to the counter, personally packaged the Sky Moon, watch worth nearly $2 million in the finest gift box, held it with both hands, and respectfully presented it to me. Lord Dragon, please accept this. I took the box and turned to leave. From beginning to end, I didn't spare a glance at Lucas or Tiffany. For insects, ignoring them is the greatest contempt. Wait, wait, Tiffany called out, her voice trembling. She looked at me, her eyes filled with fear, confusion, and a trace of regret she didn't even notice herself. Caleb, who? Who are you really? Indeed, who was he? Why did Sarah Vance want to marry him? Why did the Patek Philippe manager kneel to him? Why did he have such a domineering, terrifying title, the Dragon? Everything completely overturned their perception of Caleb. I stopped, looked back at her, and curled my lip in a playful arc. Who am I? I am an existence you will never be able to reach. With that, I walked away coolly under their dumbfounded gazes. Left behind were the faces of Lucas and Tiffany, looking uglier than if their parents had died. They knew that from today on, they and Caleb were people of two different worlds, and the cousin they had bullied for over a decade, viewed as trash, would become an existence they could only look up to for the rest of their lives. Tears of regret slid from the corners of Tiffany's eyes. If only they hadn't treated him like that. Unfortunately, there are no ifs in this world. I returned home carrying a watch worth nearly $2 million, but my mood wasn't as happy as I imagined. While the face slapping was satisfying, the engagement with Sarah Vance hung over my head like the sword of Damocles. That woman was definitely not a pushover. Her sudden decision to marry me definitely hid a massive conspiracy. I sat in the yard, pondering my strategy when my phone rang. A strange number. I answered, and a cold yet familiar voice came from the other end. Caleb, it's me, Sarah Vance. I raised an eyebrow. CEO Vance calling me so late? Did you miss me? There was silence for a few seconds on the other end, seemingly choked by my flippant tone. Tomorrow morning at 10, meet me at City Hall. Bring your ID. Her voice held no emotion. What for? To get a divorce decree? We haven't even gotten married yet. I continued to tease. To get the marriage license. Sarah's tone hardened. Caleb, I don't care what you become or who is backing you. You just need to know one thing. You have to go through with this marriage whether you want to or not. Otherwise, I don't mind making you disappear from this world. Her voice was full of unquestionable dominance and a heavy threat. I laughed. Interesting. This woman was actually threatening me. The dragon? CEO Vance, are you begging me to marry you? I said lazily. Begging requires the right attitude. For example, say something sweet. You have a death wish. The sound of Sarah's exasperated voice and a glass shattering came from the other end. I could almost picture her furious, blushing face on that iceberg facade. I'll give you 3 seconds to consider. I stopped smiling, my voice turning cold. Marry me, and I might consider keeping the Vance family safe. Otherwise, after tomorrow, there will be no Vance family in New York. This wasn't arrogance, but a statement of fact. With my current identity and power as the dragon, wiping out a family like the Vances was as easy as snapping my fingers. The other end fell into a deathly silence. After a long while, Sarah's voice came through, trembling with humiliation. What exactly do you want? What do I want? I chuckled lightly. Simple. You want to get married? Fine, but the rules are set by me. Tomorrow, I want you, Sarah Vance, to personally come to the Thorn House and propose. I want you to kneel in front of my parents and beg me to marry you. Can you do that? Princess Vance. Caleb, don't push too far. Sarah's voice became shrill, filled with endless anger and shame, asking her, the proud daughter of heaven, New York's top female CEO, to kneel and propose to a loser she despised. This was worse than killing her. Push too far, I sneered. Compared to what you and the Vance family did to me before, what is this? I'll give you only one night to think. If I don't see you at the Thorn Gate by 8 tomorrow morning, accept the consequences. With that, I hung up. Listening to the busy signal, Sarah stood frozen in place, cold all over. She looked out at the dark night, feeling helplessness and despair for the first time. This Caleb wasn't the Caleb she knew. He had turned into a devil who could easily control her and the fate of the entire Vance family. Did she really have to kneel to this devil? Early the next morning, outside the gate of the Thorn townhouse, a line of luxury cars stretched out of sight. Leading them was a global limited edition pink Rolls-Royce Phantom, followed by a fleet of black Bentleys. This scene was more exaggerated than a royal procession, instantly igniting the entire neighborhood. Neighbors poked their heads out, buzzing with discussion. Oh my God, whose house is that? Such a huge display. It's the Thorn house. I saw the car stop at their door. The Thorns? That nearly bankrupt family? Wasn't their loser son rejected by the Vances? Before the sentence was finished, the door of the pink Rolls-Royce opened. A jade-like foot in a crystal-high heel stepped out first. Immediately after, a woman in a custom white gown, beautiful beyond words, stepped out of the car. It was Sarah Vance. Today, she had shed her cold business attire. Exquisite light makeup on her face, breathtakingly beautiful. Only that beautiful face was written with humiliation and unwillingness, her eyes slightly red, evoking pity. Under countless shocked, envious, and jealous gazes, Sarah held a gift box and walked, step by step, to the gate of the Thorn courtyard. Then, under everyone's disbelief, she slowly bent her knees. Thud! She knelt down. In that moment, the whole world seemed to go quiet. The #1 female CEO in New York, the proud daughter of heaven, Sarah Vance, actually knelt to a loser. This scene, through countless phone lenses, spread through the social circles of New York's high society within minutes. Everyone who saw the video went crazy. Am I seeing things? Sarah Vance knelt to that waist, Caleb. Is she crazy? What is she doing? Did Caleb put a hex on her? This is unbelievable. Meanwhile, inside the Thorn courtyard, my parents, watching the feed from the gate camera, were completely dumbfounded. Caleb, this. My mom pointed at the screen, unable to speak properly. I leisurely finished the last sip of my porridge and wiped my mouth. Dad, Mom, let's go out. A guest has arrived. We can't let her kneel outside forever. I pushed open the door and walked out. Under the sunlight, Sarah knelt on the ground, her figure frail, trembling slightly. She looked up, her red eyes staring dead at me, a look that wanted to eat me alive. I walked up to her and looked down. Figured it out? Sarah gritted her teeth, squeezing words through them. Caleb, I beg you, marry me. Every word carried blood and tears. I smiled. I bent down, grabbed her smooth chin, and forced her to look in my eyes. CEO Vance, remember today's shame. From the moment you knelt, you became mine, Caleb Thorns. Your body, your heart, your everything belongs to me. In the future, if you dare have even half a thought, you shouldn't. I leaned close to her ear and whispered in a voice only the two of us could hear. I will make your Vance family disappear completely from this world. Sarah's body trembled violently. The last trace of stubbornness and resistance in her eyes shattered completely, turning into endless fear and despair. She knew she would never escape the palm of this devil in this lifetime. I helped Sarah up from the ground and took her cold hand, leading her into the yard. Dad, Mom, let me introduce you. This is your daughter-in-law, Sarah Vance. My parents looked at the scene before them, as if in a dream. Just a few days ago, they were gloomy about their son being rejected. Today, the top female CEO in the city was kneeling at the door begging to marry in. This turnaround was too fast. Ms. Vance, please sit. My mom recovered and hurriedly welcomed her, pouring tea and getting fruit, appearing somewhat flustered. Sarah didn't speak the whole time, like a puppet without a soul, letting me manipulate her. Watching her despondent state, I felt no pity in my heart. She brought all this on herself. If she and the Vance family hadn't humiliated the original host so much back then, why would I retaliate in this way? Just then, my phone rang. It was 9. Lord Dragon, the matter you ordered is handled. Amen. I responded. Yesterday, I asked 9 to handle 2 things. First, freeze all of Marcus's positions and powers in the Thorn Group. Second, Find out exactly who drugged Sarah at the hotel last night. Did you find out who? I asked. I did. Nine's tone was peculiar. It was none other than Sarah's own sister, Bella Vance. Bella. I frowned. In the book, Bella was a standard white lotus, innocent on the surface, relying on her sister Sarah, but actually jealous of everything Sarah had, secretly sabotaging her. She drugged Sarah to make her sleep with the loser, Caleb, ruining her reputation so she could take over. She just never expected that I, the loser, would transform into the dragon. Nor did she expect Sarah would actually choose to marry me to save the family. Interesting. A cold sneer curled on my lips. Lord Dragon, need I dispose of her? Nine asked, a hint of killing intent in his voice. No need, I said indifferently. Keep her. She's useful. A stupid and vicious sister was the best tool to deal with this block of ice. Sarah. I hung up and looked at Sarah. Today, don't go anywhere. Stay at my house and keep my parents company. Sarah looked up sharply, a flash of resistance in her eyes. There are still many things at the company. From today on, I call the shots at Vance Corp. I cut her off, my tone allowing no refusal. Your only task now is to be a good wife to me and a good daughter-in-law to the Thorne family. You what? I pinched her cheek. Be obedient. Otherwise, I don't mind letting that dear sister of yours taste what you experienced last night. Sarah's face went white instantly. How do you know? I know far more than you imagine. I withdrew my hand and patted her face. So don't play tricks. Behave yourself. It's good for you and for the Vance family. With that, I picked up the car keys, ready to leave. Where are you going? Sarah asked subconsciously. I looked back and flashed a brilliant smile. To prepare a wedding gift for you. A gift that will make that dear sister of yours regret being born into this world. Watching my retreating back, Sarah felt a chill rush from the soles of her feet to the top of her skull. She knew a bloody storm targeting the Vance family. No, targeting her sister Bella was about to begin. And she could only watch helplessly, unable to do a thing. Story complete.